The next biomolecule we're going to talk about are lipids, and you've probably heard them called fats, things like that. There's all the triglycerides. We're going to discuss all that. But instead of doing the book's PowerPoint and modifying it, I just came up with a different idea here to give you a better idea what lipids mean to you, okay? So this is a little story about a guy named Pete, and he got home from classes and he went to his job and he came home and he was hungry and he started eating his, what did he have, a Hot Pocket. And as he's sitting on the TV or sitting on the couch watching TV, he found a commercial for something called Vitarin. Okay, it's another one of those drugs that reduce your cholesterol. The first one was Lipitor, and then there's I don't know how many there are. There's quite a few of them. So he was like, okay. So then he went and got his Hot Pocket, and then he started to think about this. Well, if they have all these drugs to, lower your cholesterol, why? So he started to look, and if you really want to see the ad, it's on YouTube at that spot, but you don't have to. But anyway, he looked at his little Hot Pocket nutritional information, okay? So he's eating his Hot Pocket, and then he starts looking at cholesterol and all that stuff. And if you look over here, we got the serving size, but in a box you got 2, and calories and so on, and it tells you saturated fats and trans fats and all this. So he's like, wonder what this means, So he started to look at it, some of the information from his Hot Pocket, okay? So how much cholesterol? Well, if you go over here, it says here cholesterol is 37 grams. But the other thing is, okay, if he ate both of them, I don't know if he said he did, but if he ate both of them, which I think he did, that would be, oh, those are carbohydrates, sorry. Cholesterol is 25. So if he ate both of them, it would be 50. Okay? So is that bad or good? Who knows? Okay? So again, what does that mean? Well, he realized that one Hot Pocket was, considered a serving. So because he ate both of them, that was 620 calories, okay, and 50 milligrams of cholesterol. Well, again, he didn't know if that was too much. How much cholesterol should you get? Should there be a need for a lean pocket instead of a Hot Pocket? That kind of stuff. So he started to do some research on cholesterol. And what does it mean? Because, cholesterol isn't all bad. But what should your cholesterol level be? If you have high cholesterol, what's going to happen? That kind of stuff, okay? So he did some analysis of some fast food restaurants because we tend to be a little, into our fast food restaurants. Wendy's, if you get a single with cheese and fries, you can see 47 grams of fat. The Subway, if you get the turkey breast, here's no mayo, no cheese. I don't know about you guys, but that's pretty plain. Okay, you can see you have less fat, but he had some Doritos here, So again, you can knock off the chips if you want. And here is a Steak and Shake, which I've never heard of. I'm assuming this is like Hardee's because it's got a Frisco melt and French fries and so on. You can see, the difference here. If you get a vanilla shake, fries, and a Frisco melt, 124 grams of fat. Crazy, right? And calorie-wise, here it would be about 1,000. Here it would be 560, and here, holy man, you're talking close to 2,000 calories. So stuff to look at when you're eating out. Okay, so then they started looking at what percent of your daily intake should be from fresh fruits and or vegetables. Okay, what do you think? Well, or how much of your daily food intake should be lipids, which is fats. Okay. Well, he started to do his research. Okay, he did a Google search and he found the following information. The American Heart Association recommends that you limit your fat intake to no more than 30% of your daily calories. Okay, so 30%, but 10% or less should come from saturated fats. So all fats should be 30% or less, and 10% should be saturated fats. And we'll talk more about those in a minute. But 1 gram of fat is about 9 calories to give you an idea. Okay, fat, saturated fat, are these different from cholesterol? Okay, so then again, he normally consumes about 2,000 calories per day. So what percent of his total daily caloric intake is coming from his Hot Pockets? Well, 620. So what would that be? That wouldn't be 50, about 30%, right? And then what percent of his total daily calories is coming from fat? Well, if you look down here too, it's based on a 200 calorie diet. This actually calculates for it, but we can kind of do it. So we're doing fat. Here we got total fat is 20%. So two of them would be 40%. Okay, so he's getting quite a bit there. So is he reaching the fat consumption? Is it right there was 40%, so that's already above his what he should get. Okay, so the thing to remember about cholesterol is a lipid. It is a form of fat. Okay, lipids are a group of biological macromolecules, so they're biomolecules, and they have a major hydrocarbon component. So again, they're organic, and they're mostly nonpolar and hydrophobic. In other words, they don't like water. And again, that's why like oil and water don't mix, because remember, likes dissolve likes. They're dissimilar in their bonding types, so they don't like each other, so they won't mix together. Okay, lipids are very important in cell membrane function. That's where you'll find a lot of your in your body. Your lipids are in the cell membrane. If you guys have had biology, hopefully you remember they have a double phospholipid layer. They have, and I'll show you a picture of that in a minute. But anyway, lipids are very important to our membranes and to energy. We need lipids. We need fats. Okay, there are three main families of lipids. There's steroids, there's fats, and there's phospholipids. So when you're talking about fats, it's a lipid. You're talking about steroids, it's a lipid. And when you talk about phospholipids, it's a lipid. So fats is just one part of lipids, but most people, lipids, they just totally think of fats and that's it. But there's actually three main groups. Okay. So steroids is like cholesterol. Cholesterol is a steroid. It typically has a core function of 4, you can see 4 carbons, and then other things, offshoots of them. Okay. So it's usually 4 fused rings, and here's another one with 4, but different groups on them. Here only has 3. This is vitamin D, which is a type. This is cortisol. This is the stuff, if you ever have an injection into a joint that's sore, they'll put that in there. This is cholesterol here. Okay. So cholesterol is an example of a steroid. Many hormones and vitamins are also steroids. Here you can see vitamin D3, cortisol is an example of a hormone. Okay. Those are a type of fat. I mean, a type of lipid, excuse me, not fat, lipid. Okay, here's your cell membrane that I was talking about. This is a phospholipid, okay? You have this, these are the hydrophilic heads that like, and then down in here it's hydrophobic, okay? Okay, so fats and fatty acids, a fat is also known as a triglycerol, okay? And when you have a fatty acid, you take 1 triglycerol and then you put 3 fatty acids connected to it. Okay, so let me see if I have one here. I don't. Maybe I do on another side. Anyway, so fat is a triglyceride, and it tri because it has 3. It has 3 fatty acids linked to the triglyceride. There's a condensation reaction, in other words, removing water. And fatty acids, they get these ester linkers. Remember ester, double bond OO. So here's an ester linkage. You know, all those are ester linkage, and they join the subunits. So when you're talking about fatty acids, it can either be saturated or unsaturated. Okay, now if you remember from organic, which was a unit ago, saturated was all single bonds. Unsaturated, there was at least 1 double or triple bond. There can be more, but they have at least 1. It's kind of the same thing here. Okay, so if you look at saturated and unsaturated fatty acids, okay, here's your double bond OH. Okay, here's your double bond OH. But this one, oh, and you can't see all of it. This one has a double bond in it. This one does not. Okay, so this one is saturated. This one is unsaturated. Okay, so fats that have no double bonds in the hydrogen chain are saturated. And these tend to be animal fats. Another way you can tell if they're saturated is if they're solid at a room temperature, like Crisco, butter, margarine. Okay, those guys tend to be, and again, they tend to come more from animals. Okay, plant saturated fat, or plant fatty acids tend to be unsaturated. They tend to have, you know, and again, this is just 1 double bond. It can have 2 double bonds. It can have 10 double bonds. As long as it has more than 1, you know, double or triple bond, then it's considered unsaturated. And these guys tend to be liquids at room temperature, like your oils. Okay, you have vegetable oil, you have sunflower oil, you have olive oil, all those guys, okay? Unsaturated fats can either be monosaturated, like here where they only have one, or they can have several. They would be polyunsaturated. And obviously, polyunsaturated would even be better for you, okay? So when you're looking at fats, unsaturated is better for you than saturated. Unsaturated has double bonds or triple bonds. It means it has some room to break up and add stuff to it, whereas this guy is kind of full, okay? Unsaturated fats are generally much healthier for you than saturated, okay? So animal fats aren't as nearly as good for you as plant fats, I guess is the best way to say it, okay? So here's a question. Which of the following is the best explanation for why vegetable oils are liquid at room temperature? Well, we know vegetable oils are unsaturated, so we can knock off A and B. So vegetable oils are unsaturated. They do not pack together efficiently and therefore have a low melting point, or they pack together very efficiently and have a low. Well, if they don't pack together very well, then they break apart easily, so it should be C. Vegetable oils are unsaturated fatty acids, and because they have those more than double, triple bonds, they can actually, they have a much lower melting point. That's why they're liquid at room temperature. Okay, here's the other kind now, the phospholipids. Phospholipids are, they arrange themselves so they usually have a double layer. See, this is one here and then one on top. Okay, the top layer, again, this is a cell membrane, and this is what they call a liposome, and this is a micelle. These are things that you'll find in the human body. Okay, the top layer is what they call hydrophilic. It likes water, and then this layer is called hydrophobic. It doesn't like water. So they situate themselves that, okay, so that they can pull things in and get it into here. These guys are kind of the same way, you can see, but the middle part is where you have, and the very outside is where you have the heads, I guess you would call it, and then the tails go inward. Same with all of these. These two are very similar. You just don't have that pronounced middle part in a micelle as you do in a liposome. But here in the cell membrane, you can see that. Okay, so phospholipids are a major component of your cell membranes because they say they're amphipathic in nature. And if you remember, amphiphilic means it can, when we talked about bases, acids and bases, it means it could be an acid or a base like water. Well, these guys can either be hydrophobic or hydrophilic. They can have a polar area or in a non-polar area, okay? So because of this nature, then they can deal with water in a very, I don't know how you'd say it, but they can take care of water and do what they want with it in a very efficient way, okay? So which best describes the phospholipid? Okay, so we know it's both a polar and a non-polar. Polar would like water, and non-polar would not like water, okay? So it would be a non-polar that's made polar by the addition of a phosphate. Oh wait, no, this one, amphipathic, because it's non-polar, but then we add a phosphate and it becomes polar, so it would have to be both of these. So this is the one that would work for a phospholipid. Once you add that phosphate, then it makes it so that it's amphipathic, I think it is. Anyway, it just means it's both likes water and doesn't like water. I know, weird, right? Okay, so now Pete learned that his body needs some cholesterol. In addition to being a component of cell membranes, it's used to make hormones, vitamins, and other substances that help him digest his food. But your liver will make all the cholesterol your body needs, so you really don't need excess cholesterol. And of course, we like fat because fat tastes the best, okay? But too much fat is dangerous for us, and it often means you're going to be overweight, you're going to have problems with your vascular system, and when your cholesterol, there's some things with your cholesterol you can deal with and some you can't. Some people are genetically predisposed to have high cholesterol. It's in their genetics. Their liver doesn't take care of it the way it's right. And some people can be really heavy and not have high cholesterol because they're genetically disposed not to have high cholesterol. But in general, it's from your diet. If you're overweight, you're going to have issues with your cholesterol, and we're going to talk more about that. But I'm running out of time, so I'm going to quit right here.